Alright. Wait. I think I fixed it.
Yeah?
I'd love to.
He's so fucking
Don't bully Jake Staples.
Imagine thinking you can rap.
Oh, are we going live right now?
Yeah, hold on. I'm just trying to...
Oh, are we making fun of him online?
Don't bully
You sound like a
people
douchebag.
online. Okay.
All right, guys, stop talking about it.
I'm gonna wait for that.
Alrighty.
Look what you responded.
Guys,
So-
guys.
We're live?
We're live.
All right, sweet. Enough of this hearsay.
All right, that needs to end. Okay.
Good evening, ladies. Good
We just start one more time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tea Time Topics, where we have
True.
and non-binary friends. And welcome
Wow,
back
we're so
to
inclusive.
Tea Time I am very inclusive, John. I'm all inclusive.
Oh,
I'm
very
the
inclusive.
all-inclusive vacation resort to
Neoliberal scum.
Miami.
Just say
Miami.
people.
All right, just start the.
Saves time.
Okay, good evening, people.
Say mankind. Excuse me.
Did you say man and kind next to
All right,
each other?
come on,
Men
come
can't
on.
be kind.
Kyle,
Yeah,
we're starting.
excuse me?
We're starting. it. Come on.
Institutionally, men cannot be kind.
You can't
Okay.
be racist toward white people.
Okay, we're gonna start this all over again.
All right.
White privilege does not exist.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tea Time Topics, where we have political debates and hot takes. I am your host, Kyle Gunning. To the left of me is...
John Kelly.
To the left of John Kelly is...
Carter Ramsey.
To the left of Carter Ramsey is...
Satchel Moore.
To the left of
Birthday boy.
Satchel Moore. Oh, yeah. There's a birthday in the house tonight. It's Satchel Moore.
Love to hear it. Let's
Oh,
hear it.
yeah. I love to hear it.
Happy birthday,
Don't
Satchel.
ya? Yeah. And back to me. If you go full
send
circle,
gifts
I
to
am
5
Kyle
Trump
Gunning.
Tower.
5 Trump Tower.
Six Trump Tower.
Hosting a summit there.
Yes,
Maybe?
of course. Of course.
So,
Imagine that.
tonight's episode will be about impeachment, the impeachment process, Trump and Ukraine, theory,
How we think it's gonna turn out.
Yep.
how we think it's going to turn out, and the people involved.
And is
and
it
we're gonna
worth it?
dabble back and forth a little bit about Hong Kong in the end, maybe if we have time on our hands.
I'd like to.
Yes.
So like I was opening up with before, let's clear up some misconceptions about the impeachment process, because it's something that people think is a very simple process, but it's not. It's like the opposite of a simple process. So
All right.
someone sum that up.
All right. So I have an article here from the New York Times, and it's pretty much saying
Look at him go.
how it's been a subject of dispute. And the two examples we have at the moment are the Nixon and the Clinton impeachment efforts. Both of them were varying
Nixon
in
resigns
levels of
before he's
success.
impeached, so he's never actually impeached. But
Mhm,
Andrew
mhm.
Johnson
But those were
is actually
the
impeached.
processes. Those are the ones that we're looking at. So during those efforts, the House voted for resolutions that directed the House Judiciary Committee to open the inquiries, which it's not strictly necessary. Federal judge, for impeaching him, they begin at the committee level.
Yeah.
So the House Judiciary Committee is led by Representative Gerald Nadler, a Democrat from New York.
Oh yeah.
Okay? And he claimed that they're already engaged in impeachment investigations. And Mr. Trump's Justice Department argued that since there has been no House resolution, the committee is just engaging in an oversight process. That's what's going on right now.
Get
Pelosi-
in your mic, man.
Nancy Pelosi hasn't said that she intended to bring any resolution to the floor, but I would say it's a good guess that she would, because it's a pretty good opportunity for her.
Nancy Pelosi, I want to be you. Speaker of the House, baby.
Okay, is this
Nancy's
good?
so hot.
Is this good?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
beautiful.
So
Nancy's beautiful. Sorry.
simple terms, pretty much, once Congress brings the impeachment inquiry to the floor and they pass it, it gets sent up to the Senate, where they write their own rules and they pretty much hold a trial in which there are 4 days for impeachment and there are 4 days against impeachment. And by the end of that, a jury decides whether or not to impeach Trump. These are very, very simple terms. This gets into very, very in-depth detail here.
Yeah.
But that's
Wait,
pretty
yeah.
much what
So-
would happen.
So I have a
Keep
quick,
in mind,
quick question though. So who gets entitled onto that jury? Is it just
The jury?
citizens of America, or it's just like
no, it'd be like actual
higher up
elected
people.
officials.
Yeah. So as I said before, the Senate can pretty much write its own laws concerning this process, and there isn't that much in the Constitution saying any. Oh, hello.
Nope.
Gene Gunning in the House.
Saying
ladies and
anything
gentlemen.
about impeachment. So keep in mind that the House is Democrat run, Democrat majority, and then the Senate is a Republican majority headed by Mitch McConnell.
Oh,
and
gotta
Mitch
love Mitch.
McConnell, he has the power to pretty much say, no, we're not going to do a trial whatsoever, even if the House brings an inquiry to the Senate.
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell has
So-
no value as a human being.
Let us just be clear. So, you know, you go through impeachment, right? And it's good to think of impeachment as kind of a formal warning if you're actually impeached.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of a process if you want to physically remove the president from office.
Yeah.
So it's more than just, oh, he's impeached. The House of Representatives votes on impeachment, right? And you just kick him out. It's not like that at all. He can.
Yeah, no.
He still has executive power and everything. It's just like this formal warning. It's honestly, in a sense of like judicial justice, better to try a president outside of office because he's more likely to like face like a debilitating fine or
Can
like
you
jail time.
try them for impeachment and then try them out of office?
I'm pretty sure you can. You know, anything
How did
can
they?
happen.
Yeah, so is it
how
worth
did they
the
get
effort
Clinton?
to try them for impeachment first?
How did they get Clinton out?
How did
Did they get Clinton out?
of office?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Bill Clinton stayed in office. Yeah.
What a guy.
Bill Clinton's impeachment, not nearly as many articles as the articles of Trump's impeachment. The articles of Trump's impeachment, there's like 38. Like
Mhm.
this is.
Do you want to
like
give us
a
like
rap sheet.
a few choice of them?
So, okay, one of them
Some
that's interesting is
examples.
illegal war.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to see-
Illegal war.
Yeah, I'd like to see Congress elaborate on that because this is a new thing we're bringing in here. Illegal threat of nuclear war. That's really interesting. So one of the main things is abuse of pardon power. Abuse of pardon
Why
power.
did we gloss over threatening nuclear war?
Yeah, I have no idea like what this like encapsulates for Donald Trump threatening nuclear war. You know, this is a very new thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I read it off. I
He
just
did
think
do that
that's
a while
really
ago, though.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure just like openly like
He
like,
has said it multiple
openly
times.
threatened to nuke
Yeah.
someone.
Wow. That's
Um,
very interesting.
So the first question I want to bring
Like that's
to the
enough,
circle
honestly.
Oh, but so collusion against the United States with a foreign government is probably
with multiple foreign
what
governments.
the pretty much the basics. Are we coming through here?
Yeah.
Am I just way down? Oh, here we go. The basics of the impeachment trial hearings probably are going to be about collusion with foreign governments.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
the Ukraine scandal is what really set the impeachment like
Yeah.
into full force.
Okay, so the first question I want to bring to the table, in the Constitution, what constitutes impeachable acts are treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors.
Yeah.
So I want to go around the table, and I want you guys to say, do you think what Trump has done throughout his presidency constitutes treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors?
Yeah.
And what specific examples you would like to say about that?
Well, can I just start off by stating the obvious here? Bribery? Quid pro quo, baby.
Okay.
So, yes, Donald Trump
Baby.
using executive office for personal
Nordic
gain.
nations, baby.
Nordic
Yes.
nations, baby. It doesn't look good. It does not look good for him.
Mhm.
You know, it's not necessarily like tyrannical, but you know, we still live under a system of checks and balances to some extent. There's still the democratic illusion, but he violates pretty much this democratic process of personal gain in office, which, you know, bribery, not a good thing, not a good thing.
All right,
Satchel, I'll hand
so
the mic over to you.
Oh, wait, I wanted to elaborate on
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You said quid pro quo, and that pretty much stems from the testimony that Mick Mulvaney gave recently. So pretty much what he said when he was being questioned by the press was that Mr. Trump withheld military aid from Ukraine,
Yep.
money that had been appropriated by Congress and was desperately needed to resist Russian aggression, in order to induce the government of Volodymyr Zelensky to investigate a conspiracy theory about the hacking of the DNC during the 2016 election. And this aid would have amounted to around $400 million. I just want to put that out there. And if that's not bribery, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
That's
It's a little
That's what I was
bribery.
gonna bring up.
That's
And-
100% bribery.
Yeah. And there's so if you think about like why Trump is actually like withholding military aid against Russia, you know, and
Mhm.
it appears that collusion is true. We get the unredacted Mueller report. That would, you know, most likely add up to why he
Yeah.
would want to withhold aid in the first place. And now that he has a position in office, now that he has a very large following, he doesn't necessarily need collusion for the
Mhm.
next presidential term.
So, following that, I want to quote Mr. Mulvaney in his conference. "We do that all the time with foreign policy. I have news for everybody. Get over it. There is going to be a political influence in foreign policy."
Rip.
So I think that was pretty interesting considering
Yeah,
his
yeah.
brazenness there.
Yeah. That is
Just let that
it's
sink in.
Not
Just
worth
imagine
it.
that.
It's-
Also,
Imagine
I'd like
that.
to say that the Barr report of the
Imagine.
Mueller report kind of ruined it.
Imagine.
That
Yeah.
was that
Yeah, watch
kind of
that
muddies the
SNL
water
video.
quite a bit.
we have to
That's a great
understand like
SNL video.
why it's
Yeah.
barred. The reason it's barred is because the actual Senate hearing, right? It was a Senate hearing taking the Mueller report under consideration. They were there for a very specific reason, and they have to bar out certain things because it has
Oh, I
nothing
thought you
to
were
do
saying
with
bar.
bar.
You
Oh,
were
wait,
saying
what
they
are
were
you
barring
saying?
out certain
William
things.
Barr.
Yeah, I thought you
Oh,
were
they're-
talking about William Barr.
Oh, no, we're not talking about William Barr.
We are.
No, that's who he was talking about.
I said William Barr's summary of the report.
No,
ruined it.
they're not talking
Like
about barring
barring
out
out
stuff. They're not talking about that.
I just got so confused.
Anyway.
Like,
As I was saying, why the Mueller report? Part of it, I guess we could say blacked out, barred out, whatever,
Redacted.
is redacted, is because it just wasn't the actual focus of the hearing. It would just get the hearing or the trial sort of off task, and they were there for certain criminal actions and not other criminal actions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, also Trump, I saw it in interview earlier today. I think it was on CNN. Trust your sources, baby. As I was, trying to get a little bit of both sides, I was going back and forth between Fox News, CNN,
love that.
Fox
Wikipedia,
Media.
NPR. NPR was actually really good.
Wikipedia,
I
pal.
like
NPR is like almost nonpartisan.
NPR is my favorite.
NPR does
NPR
a
is
really
good.
good job, but Trump pretty much it was just a video. I trust the video. I don't think it's fake news because it's a video of Trump talking.
Could be edited.
Pretty much for the press.
a skeptic in
I
you,
think
Kyle.
it's either outside of it's on the Hill, Capitol Hill, or it's outside of the White House, and he's talking about he says, when I think of impeachment, I think it's a stupid word. And it's I mean that don't
Wait,
directly
Trump said
quote
that?
me, but he
Trump
says
said that?
he said, let me paraphrase. He says like impeachment is a stupid word. It's a hateful word. I don't like it. I don't like the word impeachment.
Wait, Trump said this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just, that's
Okay.
not usually
Thank
what
you for getting that out
what
there,
you want
Trump.
to
Appreciate
go
it.
off of.
Yeah, he's a very
It
intelligent guy.
doesn't
too.
look good, if I do say so myself. So, should we
Usually
move on
looks
to
very
Satchel
good.
here?
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I would just emphasize the same things you're emphasizing. How he puts his business ventures in front of everything else. How he puts his pride in front of everything else.
It's just a
It's his
classic
personal
It's
interest.
just classic businessman, though. That's what all the people that are like top of the markets do.
Yeah.
Just narcissistic.
Yep.
It's just his personal gain. That's what he.
Which is
What's-
not what a president should be doing.
Which is the
Yes.
American dream, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
of course.
The American dream, baby.
The American
Man,
dream.
I don't know why we're just getting around to this impeachment inquiry now.
Well, I mean, it's been
live in
building.
America, where our president is the American dream.
I'm
Basically.
glad we are though.
He lives it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
It's
we're,
about time.
I
Someone
think
needs to confront him on. He's just gonna keep getting worse and worse.
we're at a point when the nation has to confront our political leader, or our poster child, Donald Trump, about what's really going on.
That's so sad.
We need answers, right? There have been subpoenas. We need answers. We want evidence. So should we move it around to Carter?
We need answers. Yeah, I believe we do need answers. I think it's important that he's very open about, maybe I think what would change this whole right now is if he just came out clean, said that he is being a little bit narcissistic when he's doing this.
Yeah.
and be honest. You know, like if he's honest, then maybe people might be a little bit less, or they might even take it and use it against him. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Isn't
can't
it?
swallow
You gotta
his
think.
pride. That's
Come on,
a
you,
big
you gotta
thing.
think about it in a little bit of a different way. Think about it as if you're him. I mean, like, just think about it though. Like he's in a very tough position right now. You know, he is a person too. He is our president though. He should act a little bit more mature. But I believe that maybe a little bit of honesty would, you know, fix a little bit of this stuff that's going on right
Yeah.
now.
Also,
Yeah.
I'd like to say about the thing with misdemeanors. You know, our criminal justice system is at a point where the public almost completely disregards misdemeanors, which I think is. I mean, they don't disregard misdemeanors, but misdemeanors in the face of like hegemony, like Trump, they kind of just disregard misdemeanors as sort of political action,
Yeah.
and that's not okay. Our criminal justice system is a failure, is what I'm trying to say.
I agree with the fact
All
that
right.
honesty is definitely I think that's needed.
Honesty
I
is
don't
key.
think it's really ever going to come from Trump's mouth.
Well, I'm not saying it needs to come from his mouth. I just think it needs to come from some source or anything. I want it to come from his mouth, but it's not going to probably.
Yeah.
You're right. I just you know, in this day and age, I really wish we had one source of some sort of like news. I can't even say the word news because news is so biased nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Just-
always been biased.
Yeah, people don't know like what
I
to
know.
trust anymore.
So what we need,
I just want some kind of public, like non-government run. Like I don't know. It's so
well,
hard
I mean,
to.
most
there's
of the
no.
news sources are run by corporations right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so here's the
So-
thing: is like you don't want to have one news source.
You gotta have at
because-
least 3.
Yeah.
Like my grandfather, he would read the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post, I believe. And
That's a good 3.
I'm not sure if those were the exact 3, but he would read a left, a moderate, and a right newspaper every morning, and then
You find the overlap.
then
And he'd
extrapolate
bridge,
his
yeah.
views from there. Because
Yeah.
every single news source, every piece of writing, has some sort of bias, and you just have to accept
everything
that.
ever has bias.
You got to be a rhetorician in your reading.
Rhetorician, yeah.
John has read Everyday News before.
Yes.
Putting that out there.
hmm
Nice.
Great
nice.
piece of
You know, I
writing there.
read the Holden Landmark.
I-
Holden
I
Landmark,
just-
Telegram.
yes.
You know,
The Telegram's very left leaning.
Get to know
I
who
think-
threw a touchdown.
I
Yeah.
think you know 90% of the youth right. I shouldn't say 90%. You know, I think maybe like 60% of our youth right now, people in our grade, just don't read. And I know,
Or they
Or just-
go
or
through
just-
Snapchat stories.
yeah.
and
So
go from
Yeah.
you know,
there.
I've had a chance to talk to some people.
That's like
in our
tabloids.
grade, and a lot of them are just kind of like, yeah, Trump, like he'll beat this. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
Really?
like
Yeah,
a lot
you
of
can
kids
tell
are
when
just.
someone supports Trump is just like they're just blurting out what their parents say to them. It's just like
That's very true.
in their ear.
Well, I mean, you
Yeah.
can't really blame them at the moment.
Yeah.
They're in a very impressible
They're in a
stage,
very-
as are we.
they're in-
As are we.
They're in a
but
very
just
tough
like look
position.
into him
I'm
at
right.
all.
They're just a very tough position. In a very tough
Well,
position.
when
You're
they
complicit.
say Trump is going to pull through this, they obviously don't know what impeachment is. Because that's just like has nothing to do with the process of impeachment, him pulling through. Anyway, so John, if you want to comment on, you know, bribery, higher crime, misdemeanor, what was the third one? It's escaping my memory at the moment.
One moment.
Treason.
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 It was treason. There we go.
Treason. There you go. So I want to. You said something about nuclear threats.
Yeah.
So
I did.
I'd like to read a quote by Donald J. Trump. The United States must greatly strengthen
Donald.
and expand its nuclear capabilities until such time as the world comes to its senses
Keep
regarding
going.
nukes. So this kind of blatant disregard for diplomacy and just like in terms of political awareness, Trump is really putting the U.S. into danger, and he has been for the 4 years three years he's been president. And I think that an impeachment process, even if it doesn't include specific nuclear threats, and it doesn't really include that, if it would include something, it would most likely include what's happening in Ukraine.
Yep.
But I think it would serve to benefit the American people in many, many more ways than just the one way that the trial is approaching it.
Do you think America has the right to fight for freedom in other countries?
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, we fought for freedom in Venezuela,
freedom
and look
for
how
other
that turned
countries?
out.
Yeah.
Like for the
Like
freedom
the
of other
CIA
countries.
yeah.
intervening.
Yeah, for democracy in other
Well,
countries.
how do we
you
know
think
we're right?
have-
like let me just give
So
an
maybe
e-
George Washington for a second. We shouldn't get involved in any foreign affairs.
Oh, you're being
I'm never
Donald
gonna leave
Trump
America.
too.
I'm never leaving
You're
America.
being Donald Trump too.
No, wait.
I'm
I'm just
well,
saying. I'm just saying in
I
general.
refuse
Do
to
you
leave
think
American
that? Do you
soil.
think as America we have the right to intervene with like other like
We have.
Foreign
Have the
affairs.
right?
Well, as
it completely
Americans-
depends.
It's
What do you mean
against.
the
Isn't
right?
it against our own? Like,
If you look at the Middle East and what we've done to build infrastructure there and promote democracy,
See, that's not dark money. Is
And we
not
just
a good
freed
thing.
a bunch
Dark
of ISIS
money is
soldiers
not a
past
so
good
that
weekend,
could be
which was awesome.
awesome.
I mean, that could be viewed in many different ways.
Free the Kurds.
And we have to pretty much. We
well,
have
there's no
we-
right answer to the question I was asking.
We
It's just-
have been acting as the big brother of the world for a very, very long time, mainly because we were the largest power. But geopolitics
And now we're the
is
shit stain of the
shifting.
world, which is awesome.
Geopolitics is shifting at the moment, and I think that we need to figure out what we are as a country before we go and tell other countries
That's
what
true.
to do.
That's true. So here's the thing with helping foreign countries, foreign policy. So
I assume George
love foreign
Washington's
policy.
character today in history, so you know.
I love it.
yeah, I personally just what I believe in, right, is what America does. I do not believe in. I believe in helping a country if they say, we need your help. Please help us. You give them aid when you're able to give them aid.
Yes.
And then you get out of there
So
once they're good. Or if they require military presence, you grant them military presence, right?
Mhm.
To keep the peace. That's why we have the Peace Corps. The Peace Corps
Yeah.
is a great thing. We go around, we build people's homes, we keep a military
So what do we
presence.
do that you dislike?
So what about during the Cold War
Here's the thing. The Cold War is a little
when we
bit,
gave them help?
a little bit of an exception.
little-
So I'm
it's a
actually
little
about to go
different
into the Nixon administration in
Okay,
just a
okay.
second. So this American sort of view of the exploitation of land through imperialism, like using capitalism to exploit
Yeah.
these other countries, right? And when we call it colonization, all right, okay. But like another example is Richard Nixon. He sends
Rich Nix.
we have federal funds sent to Chile. That was a nice carrot bite.
Love to hear it. I
We
actually
send
do.
federal funds to Chile, right?
federal
To their-
funds.
Yes.
Kamala Harris is a fund. Sorry.
funds. So we send federal
Did you
funds to
Fun
Chile.
aunt.
Did you get that?
And I think it was either the late 60s. We send federal funds to Chile to their government, and then they have I think it was 68. I could be wrong about this, but then they elect Salvador Allende as a socialist democratically elected socialist president. So then Richard Nixon decides to allocate funds to rather than the government in the socialist economy at that point to the Chilean military, and then the Chilean military it sparks a coup, and then for the next 20 years they pretty much are under a totalitarian autocracy where a ton of people are oppressed, and Salvador Allende kills himself. So these things can go very, very badly with foreign aid, and you don't want that to happen. You don't want to be responsible for the oppression of other people just because you wanted to state the prevalence of democracy or get rid of certain socialistic or communist ideas, because it just won't work well in the end. Yeah. Part of fighting the Cold War is actually telling American citizens not to buy into communism. There was this thing, it was mow your lawn so you don't have time to read the Communist Manifesto.
Also the Red Scare.
The Red Scare, yes. The silent majority, pretty much granting people better interest rates on homes, so they'll buy bigger homes, so they'll mow their lawn, so they don't have time to read the Communist Manifesto.
Silent majority.
But by doing that,
Doesn't exist.
you actually make citizens more aware of the threat at hand, and they become more aware of communism. And ultimately, we failed
Yeah.
trying to brainwash citizens.
So
it's not a good thing. Foreign affairs can go
what a
very,
great
very
country.
badly.
So
What a
in
great
a,
country.
in a, an example where foreign affairs really, really did go badly, I'm sure many of you are familiar with Venezuela.
Yeah.
Mostly
yeah.
as an example
Socialism
of
for
where
the win.
socialism has gone wrong. But that might be on the part of the U.S.
Definitely was.
So in the 1960s, the CIA agents were involved in training and assisting Guatemalan security forces. And they ended up killing thousands of civilians during a civil war
Why
with
does our name
leftist
have to
rebels
be on this?
against the right-wing government. In the 1970s in Chile, the CIA attempted to thwart Allende's ascent and later lent support to the General Augusto Pinochet, the right-wing military dictator who overthrew him.
What a guy.
Why is
All
our
right,
name-
I love
so the
Pinochet.
regime
So
of this
bad.
military leader
This is not
murdered 3,065 of its citizens and committed human rights abuses against almost 40,000. In the 1980s in Nicaragua, the U.S. backed the right-wing Contra rebels to take on the socialist Sandinista government, leading to a decade of violent struggle. So Venezuela, as well as many other South American countries, have been severely influenced by U.S. imperialism.
Yep.
So I think we need to back off a little bit.
Pretty much during the Cold War, there was a huge amount of money that was given to certain, pretty much totalitarianist
Under the
states.
Marshall Plan.
Yep, part of the Marshall Plan.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, no, we did a lot of meddling in South Africa. I mean, South America.
Eastern
and
Europe.
a lot of meddling in Eastern
Melody,
Europe,
baby.
the
Melody.
Middle East, Eastern Europe, that area. So it just does not go well. So, let's kind of bring this back to Trump here. Foreign affairs, not looking too great. All right.
He's an elephant in a china shop. Bull in a china shop.
Yeah. Think so?
Oh, elephant.
Bull in a china shop.
Maybe an elephant would be better.
Well, the bull
Right,
is
so
an
cancel
actual
culture, right?
saying. Okay.
Cancel.
Ooh. I love cancel culture.
James Charles did nothing wrong.
So should we delve into the actual scandal itself? Explain it to
yeah.
the viewers.
So I have a full document
Oh
of
yeah,
the
here we go.
Zelensky-Trump phone call.
Do you want to get the
I'll give you a little bit of a
cancel
synopsis here. A definition of what?
Culture? Cancel culture?
No, we
No,
don't.
that was
No.
just a side
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was an aside.
so I'm gonna be reading you certain parts of the conversation between Trump and Zelensky. All right. So I will say that we do a lot for Ukraine. We spend a lot of effort and a lot of time. All right. So he's talking about American aid here.
You got to say like, I will say.
No, I
We
can't do an
do a
impression.
lot,
I can't. I
for
can't.
Ukraine, okay.
So at this time, Trump was holding back hundreds of millions of dollars in aid. Let's remember that. Almost $400 million. All right. Congress had actually sent that money, had appropriated them to help against Russian aggression, but he was holding it back. At the end of this paragraph that he was talking about, but the United States has been very, very good to Ukraine. I wouldn't say that it's reciprocal necessarily because things are happening that are not good, but the United States has been very, very good to Ukraine. All right, so he brings up the idea of like an eye for an eye. He wants something back from Ukraine, which could be seen as like certain investigations. He continues to say after Zelensky says some things back to him, I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation in Ukraine. They say CrowdStrike. I guess you have one of your wealthy people. The server. They say Ukraine has it. There are a lot of things that went on, the whole situation. I think you're surrounding yourself with some of the same people. I would like to have the Attorney General call you. That's Rudy Giuliani, as you all know.
Nothing like him.
Or your people, and I would like you to get to the bottom of it.
Wait, so
Okay.
was this phone call like recorded?
Actually, no. I misspoken. I've misspoken.
This is a
The
rough
Attorney
transcript.
General is William P. Barr.
Wait,
Ours.
was this like recorded?
William-
This
William.
is like a rough transcript, right?
Yeah, but was it
Yes,
recorded
yes.
though? Like how? Yeah.
All right, so then he mentions Rudy Giuliani, actually. Mr.
favorite person
Giuliani
ever.
is a highly respected man. He was
Is
the
he?
mayor of New York City, a great mayor, and I would like him to call you. I will ask
Oh,
him to
God.
call you along with the Attorney General, William Barr. Rudy very much knows what's happening, and he is a very capable guy. If you could speak to him, that would be great. Then he goes on to say another thing. There's a lot of talk about Biden's son, that Biden stopped the prosecution, and a lot of people want to find out about that. So whatever you can do with the Attorney General would be great. Biden went around bragging that he stopped the prosecution, so if you can look into it, it sounds horrible to me. So then Zelensky talks back, and he pretty much says, Since we have won the absolute majority in our parliament, the next prosecutor general will be 100% my person, my candidate, who will be approved by the parliament and will start as a new prosecutor in September. He or she will look into the situation, specifically to the company that you mentioned in this issue. The issue of the investigation of the case is actually the issue of making sure to restore the honesty, so we will take care of that and will work on the investigation of the case. On top of that, I would kindly ask you if you have any additional information that you could provide us. It would be very helpful for the investigation. He says investigation at least 3 times in that. And when Trump mentions aid and then pretty much requests certain things of Zelensky, that makes me think bribery.
Yeah, so we have to.
Hunter Biden
We
be
should
like.
look at is if justice is justice everywhere and injustice is injustice everywhere, and the Biden family really is guilty of these charges. So, will 2 good things come out of this?
So I think
Biden. It's funny because Biden isn't even his main opponent anymore.
I
Yeah.
don't like Biden whatsoever. So if it
It's
is
Warren.
found out that Trump was right, but he pursued it in a way that wasn't necessarily legal, and he gets some sort of legal action against him, and Biden also gets legal action against him, and it takes them both out of the race, it would definitely simplify things. It would make things a lot better for the American people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
America.
So
Wait,
what?
so
what
wait, wait, so
pretty
what
much
did-
happens?
What did Biden do?
So Biden's son was on the board of a Ukrainian company as well as a Chinese company. He was trading in like stocks and bonds, I believe. So thousands and thousands of dollars. And Biden claims, both of the Bidens claim, that they didn't talk to each other whatsoever while Joe Biden was vice president. Well, they didn't talk to each other about the specific roles they were in. So Trump is investigating that relationship and what Hunter Biden did while he was on those boards. So that's what he wants to know. It's kind of ironic because using American political interest to further yourself economically in
But-
business is exactly what he
But
does. most
isn't
of the
he
time,
guilty
so.
of like basically bribing him to?
Well, not-
That
well, yeah, no,
it's a
it is.
quid pro quo. We had someone pretty much say it, and then a few hours later, he went and pretty much said there was no quid pro quo, exactly the opposite of what he testified as. So look up Mitch Mulvaney, something Mulvaney. I don't know. I don't really Mick Mulvaney. His testimony really puts the nail in the proverbial coffin.
Yeah. So, what's actually happening in Ukraine? So, this Trump-Ukraine scandal starts off as a conspiracy theory that Trump is withholding military aid to Ukraine, and he's withholding, it's their defiance against Russia, right? They need to be able to protect themselves against oppression.
John has left the building.
But he says that if he allows military aid to go into Ukraine, and he adds on to it that he'll give them $400 million, right? Okay.
Bribery.
It's a lot of money.
Bribery.
Bribery. So pretty much, if he does that in return, Ukraine will look into this Biden scandal, and that will help him in the oncoming race. And we see some parallelism here with Bill Clinton and Richard Nixon. Not Andrew Johnson, though, because Andrew Johnson is irrelevant, get verified. Am I right?
I mean, Clinton is the most relevant example we can use to
Yeah.
try to think about what will happen in this one.
Yeah, because Nixon's not actually impeached.
Yeah.
So this Ukraine scandal, not looking good. Everything is blown open. It's funny that it starts out as a conspiracy theory and becomes something bigger. It's like this Alex Jones kind of thing.
Well, the thing about far-right
Oh.
people, they are big on conspiracy theories most of the time, and Donald Trump is surely one of them.
Yeah. A little awkward for the pubs right now. The Repubs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Repub party.
You wouldn't know anything about them.
I wouldn't at all. So it's a little awkward. Just a little bit. So,
Past 4 weeks.
do we think this is worth the time and the resource?
Of investigating?
Of impeachment. We're
Because
coming
because he's coming to an end of.
the term. Yeah.
I think it's important because the American people haven't seen impeachment for a very long time. That we demonstrate this as just go through with it no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah, but
depends
the
on
fact
like
the
what you
entire
think
country
of
is like
as a long
completely
time.
focused on the impeachment inquiry right now.
Yeah.
I think
It's
it
not
doesn't
what we
matter
need to
that
be
he's.
focused on.
I don't think it's like
Climate
doesn't
change.
matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
He's gonna be out of office anyways, so like.
part of impeachment.
But I mean, like,
You
I
don't
think
know
it's
if he's gonna be out of
important. I think
office.
he's gonna be out of office, but I think it's still important to go
What do you
through.
mean he's going to be out of
It's
office?
it's
Yeah.
important for the election,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
It's also important for our ideals as a country.
well, so here's the thing.
Well,
is,
that the people
Yeah.
actually have power.
Let's
you know what I
put
mean?
political agendas aside for a moment and think of like our ideals of justice, of due process.
Well, yeah, it would be
yeah,
justice.
exactly.
We owe it to ourselves
It's
to investigate
undemocratic.
this.
So after the Nixon administration, there's this stigma in political office that's created that the president is all powerful and can do whatever they want because Nixon pretty much resigns after rigging thousands and thousands of votes at the Democratic headquarters at Watergate. And this creates this like stigma, right, that the president is all powerful. And then Bill Clinton just helps enforce that, and it becomes overinflated. Obama, we get a little bit of like a fixture on the reality of presidency, but then Trump comes into office and just blows it so far out of proportion. The American people have no
Turns it into a
idea.
joke.
Yeah, no, like literally, the presidency turns into a joke. So
And our entire country is a joke.
pretty much,
We're in a information war.
yeah. So the
That's why your
political
data
office
should be your property, John.
Yeah, but the
Thanks for
political
income.
office is pretty
Hear
much
that, FCC?
a joke, and nobody knows what checks and balances are. Nobody knows what due process is anymore. Nobody's educated enough to really know. And the impeachment process is like this brick of reality if Trump gets impeached, which I am rooting for. It's this brick of reality that will hit the American people, and hopefully it'll take us a little bit out of that democratic illusion that we're in right now, and restore
Okay,
the
yeah,
beliefs
I
of
see.
our
I
founding
see what you're
fathers.
saying now.
Yeah.
So it will make
Serves as a
everyone less
reset.
one-sided, and because right now our
No,
country's like
not like that.
right now our country's really focused on the Democrats. So are you
We're
saying
focused
like?
on impeachment. Like
Well,
all
yeah,
the
I
media
know,
is
but like
on impeachment.
right now a lot of the Democrats are angry. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm just saying we don't understand executive power, and this
and
will
you
help
think
us
that it's
understand.
important that if we do this, that they will go through, and
Just to
that
show that
the
the
American
president isn't
people
We also
can
don't
actually have
understand
power. You know what
It's
I
a
mean?
lesson. It's important to history. It's important to humanity. It's important to democracy. It's important to
It's important to
democratic
saving the
republics.
reputation of our country.
It's it's very important to our
Literally just the reputation of our country right now.
our like on the world stage we're not doing too well. So
Like
I'll go
only
to my
China
rant.
is
The
probably
one
worse
thing
than us.
Marianne Williamson was right about. Calling
Astral
the EU
projection.
and saying that we're back.
We're back, baby. Okay, so we'll go to the right. Satchel, what do you think? You think it's worth our time?
I think it's worth our time, kind of to align with what John said about holding him accountable for all he's done in the past 3 years, and so I think it's worth our time. Yeah, I'm pretty questionable about like how the outcome is gonna be.
Well, that's the thing is because Senate is
It's just like a risk.
majority Republican.
The amount of resources that it takes, the amount of time that it takes off of other things we could be doing, it's a risky thing to do.
Well, even if Trump gets impeached in the House of Reps, that's
yeah,
still
and
a
he's
good
not
thing.
going to get removed from office. But yeah.
Yeah. But will Republicans actually stand up against Trump, or are they going to stay within party lines? I think that's a great example too. Is that if they stay within party lines, it just shows how partisan we are. That nobody's really trying to think outside of their party ideals. Nobody really has intellectual diversity. Intellectual diversity
We're
is
too
dead.
polarized.
I say it every episode. Intellectual diversity is dead. So,
I agree.
John, do you think it's
Yeah.
do you think it's
He does.
do you think it's worth our time?
So I'm actually pretty curious as to what Trump was investigating in the first place.
Yeah.
So I think an investigation to keep
Of
it
the
fair,
investigation.
an investigation of the investigation, and continuing the investigation itself to figure out what Joe Biden and Hunter Biden are exactly doing
Yeah.
would be fair. to everybody. Fair is a relative term, of course, but
yeah, they can have Joe Biden. Like, I don't
yeah.
really need him to be in
Yeah.
the race.
So, in a
He's
perfect
done anyway.
world,
He's tried
Joe
all these
Biden would
years.
get convicted, Trump would get convicted.
Elizabeth Warren would become the president.
Okay.
Okay, never mind.
Let's just not go that far right now.
Okay, so I think
mean,
that
she would, though.
Trump
Yang
has
gang.
been in the office for too long, and this would serve as a reset button for our country. And it would definitely, as Kyle was
agreed.
saying,
I agree.
it would shape American politics for the next 50 years, maybe. Not even 50 years.
I'd say about 45.
45.
Yeah, I'd call it
sure.
45 cap.
I say about
okay,
5
45.
years.
I'll make a bet on
Cap of
that.
45.
Until the next president.
All right, it would serve as a
Gunning says
reset
30.
button, and most of the time when there is some sort of president like this, the president afterwards
There's
is
never been a president like this.
weak and ineffective. And I'm talking about like a
general,
leader like
in
this
general.
in general, someone who's forceful, someone who does things that have been unprecedented, that are bad for our country. The leader after that, the leader that has been elected or put into power after that, has typically been weak and ineffective. And I think that
That's true.
this would serve to elevate their platform and actually get some things done in the coming 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I feel
We
like
need this
everything
as a
about it
country.
is so unpredictable, though.
Well, we also, what does weak and ineffective mean in political office? Could that be just a perfect display of checks and balances? So we're going to have to find that happy medium, of executive power and checks and balances. And hopefully we'll see that in 2020.
Yeah.
That is the goal, everybody.
Warren.
Warren.
I thought you were for Yang.
I am for Yang.
Yang
but
gang.
I'm for Warren Yang.
Gang, gang.
That's a nice ticket, bro.
Warren and Yang. Yang is assistant. I mean, I'm not assistant.
Vice.
Advice.
It
Dude,
won't
I'm
happen
already- I'm
because
already
they
wicked
went
tired.
at it on that debate, dude.
Yeah.
They went at it.
It's a little bit awkward. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, but Biden's done. Like, look at the polls.
Yeah.
See ya.
But so I just want to point
Woody
out
Harrelson.
that right now, according to Wikipedia,
Monica Lewinsky.
Oh.
we have a couple of subpoenas.
What?
I keep hearing that word. I'm like,
Subpoena?
what are you saying?
Do you know what a subpoena is?
I know what a subpoena, but you said it.
Subpoenas. That's
Yeah.
it's subpoenas.
It's not a subpoena. I feel like it's just a subpoena.
Subpoena.
Subpoenas, plural.
No.
Yeah.
Subpoenas.
Subpoenas.
Yeah, subpoenas.
Yeah, right.
Subpoenas.
Anyway, we have a subpoena of the unredacted Mueller report, which that's kind of cool.
Unbarred, if you know what I'm saying.
I will read
Unbarred,
that.
baby.
I will read that.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely read that too. I think that's the American people need the truth. The American people don't want this
We
But
haven't
what-
gotten the
but
truth
what
at
is
all.
the truth?
crap
But
of
what is the truth?
hidden. Area 51 is stupid and fascist. Okay.
What is the truth, Kyle?
What is the
Well,
truth?
maybe
Well, I
there
mean,
are
you
some
wouldn't know.
truths
Well,
that the
there's no
American
such
people
thing as
can't
truth.
handle.
I know, there is
Maybe
no
it's
such
for
thing
their
as
own
truth.
protection.
Nothing is real.
There
truth.
is-
But John,
there's
these
no such thing
truths,
as
Jill
truth.
Lepore.
as Napoleon teaches us in Animal Farm,
Ugh.
not knowing the truth
I don't need your lecture, Kyle.
for protection, what does that become? It becomes autocracy.
When you read one book
Okay.
and then become
Okay.
It
an
doesn't go
intellect-
well.
Re-
does not
read
go
3
well.
books, become an intellect. Read 4 and then become a philosopher. Read
That's how it
5
works.
and
That's the
you're
game. That's the
read
game.
5 and then you're completely your
It's 5
world.
more than most people have read.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
it's true.
So
Read one book, become a liberal.
should we come to a conclusion on,
Read
on
2?
impeachment?
Read 2.
Okay,
become a philosopher
conclusion
and a
on
liberal.
impeachment. What we predict is going to happen, reasons why, and whether or not it's a good idea.
Okay, so
Go
what
ahead,
I
Kyle.
think he's going to get impeached in the House of Reps, and I think it's not going to pass through the Senate.
Mitch
Yeah.
McConnell's just going to shoot it down.
Yeah, but then there's going to be a bunch of American people who think that though he's impeached in the House of Reps,
Oh,
they're going
well-
to be like, "Oh, he's getting removed from office. Oh my God."
Well, now that we can use our Second Amendment right to form a militia,
Oh,
If it
geez,
doesn't
what's up?
pass,
the
we can-
National
we can
Guard.
rise up,
John.
you know?
We have
Wow,
the National
wow.
Guard. Yeah, it's not necessary to rise up because he's not tyrannical yet.
Yet.
Keyword yet. So John, you got a little conclusion over there?
All right, so my conclusion, similar to Kyle, it might not even go through Congress, though. Nancy Pelosi hasn't really said anything concrete on the subject.
Yeah.
I think she's biding her time, and they might be looking at political moves down the line where this wouldn't necessarily be the best choice for them to make.
Yeah.
Other than that, as I've been saying, in a perfect world, Trump would get impeached, Biden would get mixed up with all of it. They'd both be out of the picture. That's definitely not going to happen.
In my perfect world, Trump gets impeached and tried outside of office.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, odds are, it's going to take a miracle to get it through the Senate, even if it goes to the Senate. If it's brought to the Congress as... if it's brought to the Congress, to the House as an impeachment inquiry, it will definitely pass due to the Democratic majority, mainly because of the polarization in our current state. But this definitely deserves to be investigated. And the fact that the White House has been hiding phone calls, completely denying this, and then going around and you look at Mick Mulvaney, you look at the Gordon guy, Gordon Sondland. If you look at their, you look at what they said, it's very, very incriminating. If you look at the full report, the full documentation of the phone call that Trump had with Zelensky, it's very incriminating. I think that there is something here, shouldn't be brushed aside, deserves the attention of the American people. But keep in mind, there are more important issues out there. And in order to preserve the American people, we need to investigate this. That's my final saying here.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I like
bro.
that. Preserve the American people. Prosperity without
All right.
inflation.
Here's-
So, Carter, what is your conclusion?
facts,
Here's
blood.
my conclusion. Trump gets kicked out of office.
That will probably not happen.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, Trump gets impeached. Tried when he's still in office. When his end of his term, he what I want to happen is for him to definitely go to definitely get tried after too, but and probably like get the proper make sure that the judicial system is fair to him, and like not fair, but make sure that he's not getting out of it without any rich different how they work. But what I think is actually going to happen is that he's going to get out of it because he's top
Voted.
top 2%.
Well, here's the thing: is finding a jury for a Trump trial.
That's the hardest thing to
That's
do.
awful.
It'd be all of his
that's
children.
like OJ. That's the OJ Simpson jury. It's so hard to
OJ.
find a jury. It's
That's why.
oh,
I
you
think
just
it's-
came out of a coma from the past 25 years.
Yeah.
You're on Trump's jury.
Yeah.
You're an alien. You're on Trump's jury.
Yeah, you
If
don't
the
know
gloves
what's
don't
happening.
fit,
Okay.
you must acquit.
We might have to get no. This would never happen, but we'd never get people for the jury from outside the country. But we might actually have to.
Yeah, they have to be American citizens.
We need people who don't speak English on the jury.
I know.
Yeah.
Just don't know anything.
Straight from China?
Mexicans.
Yeah.
we need
Mexicans.
we need
Alright.
some oppressed
That's
There's
what I
no
think.
Spanish in that
people
debate,
who
by the way.
have no human rights who don't know anything about the news to be on this jury.
All right.
Anyway, Satchel's conclusion.
Well, invaders. Definitely something that needs to be investigated, and it's happening. The impeachment inquiry already happened, so we don't need to say, is it worth it to do it? It's already happening, and Trump and Biden are not going to both get convicted of anything, because that's just gonna be
Politics.
one person winning and one person losing, because that's just how politics works. But hopefully, the best thing that can come of it for me is just that Trump swallows his pride finally. Trump is being
It's a
held
check. It's a
accountable
check.
for his,
Yeah.
There's no way he's gonna
Actions.
do that though.
and it'll be a win for the American people. It'll be a win for America's reputation, and I think that it's a good thing that we're doing this, and it is worth it.
Okay, but so Biden, even if he doesn't get tried or anything, he's gonna lose all of his political support, all of his base.
He's already on the very downhill, and Warren's on the very uphill. So
Yeah, interesting
Biden-
to see it.
watch that last debate. Biden is just so incoherent.
Yeah,
Like
he's getting old.
he's always been, but in this past debate, it was really weird.
He's
He
probably
can't get
he's
through a
probably
sentence at all.
psyching himself out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our next subject, we're gonna talk a little bit about Hong Kong. So John, you want to lead us off with this one, because I know you've been really into or very
Hong Kong games over
invested.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Phil Bowie. Free Hong Kong. Okay.
So
So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background. I know we gave you background the last one, but you might have missed it. So in June, the Hong Kong protests started, and they were pretty much against proposals to allow extradition to mainland China, which means that it could undermine the city's judicial independence and endanger people who are dissidents to the government of China. So until 1997, actually, Hong Kong was a British colony, so it was controlled by Britain. It was returned to Chinese rule, and it has more autonomy than the mainland, and its people have more rights. So it's known as one country, two systems.
Yep, that's what it is.
The leader of that city is called Carrie Lam, and I believe it's a she. She agreed to suspend the extradition bill, but demonstrations still developed to include demands for full democracy and an inquiry into police actions. I've read a few people talking about how people would just disappear if they were dissidents, which would be
Booksellers. It was something like a bunch of
exactly
booksellers
journalists,
disappeared.
booksellers,
Yeah.
people of democracy. They would disappear. That's why the inquiry for police action is there. So the bill was withdrawn in September, but police and activists have been increasingly violent, and the police have fired live bullets, and the protesters have been attacking officers and throwing bombs, homemade bombs, typically made with petrol.
So before they weren't using live rounds, but now they started using live rounds because
It's
becoming
escalated
violent
quite a bit.
situation.
And
Yeah.
people are just getting shot. Like,
Actually, an 18-year-old was
Yeah.
shot in the chest.
That's
So
completely terrible.
one of the reasons why the people of Hong Kong are acting so fiercely is because their like system of democracy isn't like a normal democratic republic. It's rather than a consensus theory of like crime, it's this theory. It's a conflict model of crime where a powerful minority pretty much elects the officials, which is stupid in so many ways. It's just like a constitutional tyranny. But or a constitutional like totalitarian state. And pretty much that's why the people are protesting so fiercely. People are out, thousands and thousands of people are out every day protesting because it is their future. There's finally children born in Hong Kong that are like native of Hong Kong, of no longer like they're either from China or they're part of this like imperialistic British system that results of the Opium Wars. They're actually like a citizen of Hong Kong, and they are working very, very hard because it is their future that they have to fight for now. They're in that situation. And something truly inspiring was I saw a video of it was protesters in a square. They were waving a American flag and singing I think it was the national anthem. And that just inspires freedom in me, even though I still say hegemony is awful. But
Patriotism.
it's still great, this idea of democracy in this place where there's not necessarily democracy and people are not being treated fairly. So hopefully something good will come of this and China won't have extradition laws over Hong Kong, because that would not end well.
So, as Kyle said, the protesters in Hong Kong are using American flags as a symbol of democracy, which I think directly speaks to how we are seen in the world. And we may have like a nihilistic view of how we are seen in the world right now. I believe Satchel put it very clearly when he used some profanity earlier about a stain.
couldn't be me.
So I think
I don't
this
use
actually
profanity,
does
John.
shed some light on how the rest of the world sees us, especially parts of the world that don't have democracy. They see us as like a pinnacle of light. And here we are, divided, polarized, our intellectual diversity is being stymied, and we're arguing over the most petty issues. Not to say that the impeachment process is petty, but people are losing their lives in Hong Kong right now for democracy. And we have democracy. We have some of the we have the most freedoms in the world,
Yeah.
arguably. and this is what we're doing with it. So I want you all to take a step back and just think about what the world could be if you were just born in a different place, and don't take that for granted.
In harsher terms, you stupid nihilist capitalists, stop being obstructed in worldviews by money.
Okay, but this is where
Not everything is temporal.
this is where I said like
I agree.
So what is our intervenes like with
I really don't think
with
we can
Hong Kong
intervene.
right now?
We really can't.
We can't.
Yeah, that would
Okay.
not
It would
be a
start
good
World
idea.
War III.
So that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
There's
a terrible
nothing
thing
we
going
can
on,
do.
and we
We don't
can't
wanna
do
mess with
anything
China
about it
directly.
though. We can't.
Yeah.
China would
is
destroy
a
us.
superpower.
Yeah,
China's
really.
a superpower.
China would eat us.
Yeah.
They've been maneuvering circles around us in the economy for so
yeah,
long.
they control the
Yeah.
economy.
We could all
it's
just
a little
move to
awkward.
China.
Yeah, and become
could do
really
that.
rich because we're white.
Mm-hmm.
We could be fake executives.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
about to say,
true.
don't they like?
So-
yeah.
So to close off this episode, to our viewers, stay educated. Educate yourselves. Pick up a book. Read an article about democracy.
Read multiple articles.
Yeah, read multiple
Yeah,
articles.
read one
yeah.
book, become a
Because
liberal.
You don't want
Read
confirmation
two, become a
bias.
philosopher.
But no, just pick up a textbook. Talk to your
I'm kidding.
teachers. Talk to your peers. Have nice discourse.
Yep.
As we have modeled for you today. I think we all do a very nice job. Thank
Aw.
you so much. Stay
thank you,
educated.
Kyle.
Stay free. Stay what you be.
Stay faded.
Don't subscribe to certain political parties because you lose your sense of decision
But
making.
do
Don't get
subscribe
stuck
to
in an
us.
echo chamber.
And if
Yes.
you want to know what $1,000 a month can do for your community, go to yang2020.com, put in your zip code, and it's all there for you.
Vote Andy Yang. Vote Andy Yang.
We
Uh,
don't affiliate with any political
Not
party.
at
Yeah,
all.
we
Anyway,
don't
I
affiliate with
Don't
anyone.
support anyone named
Four
Andrew Yang.
legs good. 2 legs bad. 4 legs good. 2 legs bad. Anyway, thank
Amy
you so much.
Klobuchar is my candidate.
Thank you so much for
That one billionaire guy that we've never seen before.
Thomas Steyer.
All right.
thank you so much for listening. I'm your host and classical hegemonist Kyle Gunning. That's not a word, but I made
All
it a
right.
word.
Absolute fiend.
It actually might be a word.
All
I
right,
can-
so to
I can
close
check
off this
it.
episode,
Anyway, to the left of me is
I'm John Kelly,
to the
a
left
maker
of
up
John.
of words.
Oh yeah.
Sophie
Left of John Kelly
DeCola,
is.
we see you, we hear
I'm
you.
Carter
Sophie
Ramsey.
is our studio audience. Yeah, and then we have Mr.
I'm the mix master.
Carter Ramsey.
Been mixing for like 30 years actually.
C Rams.
I'm on the track and
KE on the track.
the
though.
track.
I'm just chilling. So
And to the left of him is,
Satchel Cogswell Moore.
oh yeah, the birthday boy.
with the middle name.
And if we come
Happy
back full
birthday.
circle, it is back to your host, Kyle Gunning.
Nope.
Have a nice night.
It's actually
Stay
back to
free,
air.
Stay
so.
safe. Stay in school.
Stay educated.
Don't do drugs. Stay educated. Be an educated
And be a
citizen.
philosopher.
And vote.
Don't do
because
drugs, but allow others to do drugs. And
Not
don't
voting
criminalize it.
is ignorance.
Be a bystander.
All
Just
right.
kidding. Don't do that. Actually,
Have
don't
a great
don't
night,
do that.
guys.
I'm kidding.
Have a great night, guys.
I'm actually joking. Don't do that.
Haha. Goodbye. Aha.